The distress call. The settlement of New Haven floated serenely in the void of space, its biodomes glistening under the soft light of the nearby star. Life on Station Epsilon 9 had been peaceful for generations. Children played in artificial parks, scientists conducted experiments in gleaming laboratories, and merchants traded goods from across the galaxy. The very concept of war seemed as distant as Earth itself. Gar. Sarah Chen stood before the massive observation window, watching cargo ships dock at the station's outer rings. As chief administrator, she oversaw operations for the 20,000 souls who called this station home. Her morning had been routine, reviewing supply manifests, approving research proposals, and planning the upcoming Harvest Festival. She never imagined this ordinary day would be the last moment of peace she'd know. "We're picking up unusual readings at the edge of our sensor range," Administrator Chin called, her voice crackling over the communications console. Sarah turned, adjusting her glasses. "Define unusual." Officer Martinez frowned at his screens. "Multiple contacts moving fast. They're not responding to standard hails." His fingers danced across the holographic interface. "Wait, these energy signatures don't match anything in our database." A chill ran down Sarah's spine as she moved to the central command platform and activated the station's long-range sensors. What appeared on the main screen made her blood run cold. 37 ships, their dark hulls bristling with weapons, approached in perfect formation. Their design was utterly alien, angular and aggressive, nothing like the smooth, efficient vessels of known civilizations. "Sound general alert," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "Get all civilians to the inner shelters and deploy our defense drones." The station sirens wailed as screens throughout Epsilon 9 lit up with emergency protocols. Parents rushed children away from viewing ports, merchants abandoned their stalls, and security personnel scrambled to their posts. "Defense drones launching," reported Lieutenant Wong from the tactical station. 20 units deployed and forming a defensive perimeter. Sarah watched as their small fleet of automated defenders rose to meet the approaching threat. The drones, designed for asteroid deflection and minor pirate deterrence, were hardly a match for what appeared to be a full military fleet. "Open all communication channels," she commanded. "Try to establish contact." Martinez shook his head after several attempts. "Nothing, Administrator, they're ignoring us completely." The alien fleet continued its relentless approach. When the lead ship came within range, it fired without warning. A beam of crimson energy lanced through space, vaporizing 3 defense drones instantly. The remaining drones returned fire, but their weapons merely splashed harmlessly against the alien vessel's shields. "They're cutting through our defenses like paper," Wong reported, his face pale. "Estimate 5 minutes until they reach optimal firing range on the station." Sarah gripped the command rail. Humanity had known peace for so long that their defensive capabilities had atrophied. The great warships of old were museum pieces, their weapons dismantled or destroyed. Most people had forgotten that humans once possessed the power to wage war on an interstellar scale. But Sarah Chen had not forgotten. As chief administrator, she had been entrusted with a secret, a last resort that previous administrators had passed down through generations. She had hoped never to use it. "Clear the command center," she ordered, everyone except Martinez and Wong. Once the others had left, Sarah moved to a nondescript panel on the wall. She pressed her palm against it, and a hidden compartment slid open. Inside lay a small, dust-covered device that looked ancient compared to the station's sleek technology. "What is that?" Martinez asked. "Something from a time when humanity knew how to fight," Sarah replied. She lifted the device carefully. It was surprisingly heavy, its surface marked with faded military insignia. During the Great Peace, not all weapons were destroyed, some were hidden away, sleeping, waiting for a day when they might be needed again. She placed the device on the command console. It bore a simple inscription, Project Sentinel. Emergency authorization only. "The alien ships are destroying our last drones," Wong reported urgently. 2 minutes until they're in position to fire on the station. Sarah took a deep breath and pressed the activation button. The device hummed to life, its display showing a simple message, Emergency Protocol Omega. Confirm. She pressed her thumb to the biometric scanner. The device emitted a powerful signal that raced through subspace, seeking receivers that hadn't been active for over 3 centuries. Far away, in the forgotten reaches of the Oran Arm, something stirred. Hidden beneath the surface of a barren moon, ancient systems detected the signal. Power generators that had lain dormant for generations began their startup sequences, lights flickered on in empty corridors, and atmospheric processors activated with a wheeze of stale air. In the deepest chamber of the facility, a massive computer core initialized its artificial intelligence, preserved in quantum storage, and awakened to full consciousness. Emergency Protocol Omega received, announced the AI, its voice echoing through empty halls. Authentication verified. Threat assessment, critical. Beginning revival procedures. Rows of stasis pods lined the walls of the facility's central chamber, each containing a soldier from humanity's warrior past, men and women who had volunteered to sleep through the ages, ready to defend their species if the need ever arose. The first pod hissed open. Inside, Colonel Marcus Reeves drew his first breath in 300 years, his eyes snapped open as military training overrode the disorientation of his long sleep. Revival drugs flooded his system, and memories returned, the wars, the peace treaties, the decision to become one of humanity's sleeping guardians. Status report, he croaked, his voice rough from centuries of suspension. Welcome back, Colonel, the AI responded. We have received an Omega-level distress call from Station Epsilon 9. The facility is under attack by unknown hostile forces, all defensive measures have failed. Reeves sat up, his muscles protesting. How long until the others are revived? Full team revival will be complete in 30 minutes. The warships are already powering up. Show me the tactical situation. A holographic display materialized, showing real-time data from Epsilon 9. Reeves watched as the alien fleet positioned itself around the helpless station. His jaw clenched as he recognized classic invasion tactics. They're not here to negotiate, he muttered. Wake everyone. It's time to remind the galaxy why humanity was once feared. Back on Epsilon 9, Sarah watched helplessly as the alien ships moved into attack formation, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. All civilians are secured in the inner shelters, Wong reported, for whatever good it will do. Did the signal go through? Martinez asked, glancing at the ancient device. Sarah nodded. It went through, but I don't know if anyone heard it, or if they'll arrive in time. The lead alien ship's main weapon reached full charge. Sarah closed her eyes, waiting for the end. But the end didn't come. Instead, alarms blared across the command center as new contacts appeared on the sensors. Administrator, Wong shouted. Multiple ships were emerging from hyperspace. Sarah's eyes flew open. On the main screen, space itself seemed to tear apart as massive vessels materialized. These were not the sleek, peaceful ships of modern humanity, these were warships, angular, heavily armored behemoths bristling with weapons. Their hulls bore the markings of Earth's ancient military forces. The lead warship, a kilometer-long dreadnought, broadcast a message on all frequencies, this is Colonel Marcus Reeves of the Earth Defense Force. Alien vessels, you have 60 seconds to withdraw or be destroyed. For the first time, the aliens responded. Their message was brief, this territory belongs to the Krell Empire. Surrender or die. Reeves's reply was even shorter, wrong answer. The ancient human warships opened fire. Beams of devastating energy struck the alien fleet, their advanced weapons made the station's defenses look like toys. The aliens returned fire, but their weapons barely scratched the warship's armor. Sarah watched in awe as the battle unfolded. The human ships fought with a precision and ferocity that seemed impossible, they moved like predators, coordinating their attacks to devastating effect. Within minutes, half the alien fleet was reduced to floating debris. The Krell commander, realizing they faced a far superior force, ordered a retreat. Their remaining ships flowed into hyperspace, leaving their dead behind. As the last alien vessel disappeared, Sarah's communication console lit up with the image of Colonel Reeves, a man with gray eyes that had seen too much war, wearing an ancient military uniform that somehow looked both outdated and terrifying. Station Epsilon 9, this is Colonel Reeves. Are you in need of assistance? Sarah found her voice. Colonel, your timing is impeccable. We owe you our lives. Reeves nodded solemnly. That's why we're here. The sleepers have awakened, and the war machines of humanity are ready to defend our people once again. As the massive warships took up protective positions around the station, Sarah realized the peaceful era they had known was over. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's martial past, but they were about to receive a harsh reminder: the ancient war machines had awakened, and they would not sleep again until their people were safe. Colonel Marcus Reeves stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Nemesis, gazing at the star-filled void beyond the viewport. His body still ached from the revival process, but his mind was sharp. 3 centuries of sleep had done nothing to dull his tactical instincts. Around him, his crew moved with purpose, their ancient uniforms a stark contrast to the modern aesthetic of Station Epsilon 9. All systems nominal, his first officer reported. Have our guests arrived? Reeves asked. A shuttle from Epsilon 9 is docking now, sir. Moments later, the bridge doors slid open to admit Sarah Chen and her senior staff, their expressions mixed awe and apprehension as they took in the warship's interior, hard edges and physical controls built for war, not comfort. Welcome aboard the Nemesis, Reeves greeted them. I apologize for the Spartan accommodations, these ships were designed for function, not diplomacy. Sarah stepped forward, extending her hand. Colonel Reeves, we owe you more than we can express. I'm Sarah Chen, Chief Administrator of Epsilon 9. Reeves noted her firm grip. You activated the Omega Protocol. That took courage, most would have surrendered. Surrender wasn't an option, Sarah replied. Those aliens, the Krell, they weren't here to negotiate, their first act was to open fire. Tell me everything, Reeves said, gesturing to the briefing table. As Sarah recounted the attack, Reeves listened intently. His tactical team gathered data, analyzing the Krell ship's capabilities and behavior patterns. What emerged was troubling, Reeves concluded. This wasn't a random raid. The Krell came prepared for minimal resistance. They've likely been watching humanity for some time, assessing our defenses. But why attack now? Humanity has been at peace for centuries. We pose no threat, Sarah said. Lieutenant Colonel David Armstrong, Reeves's intelligence officer, brought up a star map. Our preliminary analysis suggests the Krell Empire has been expanding aggressively in this sector. They've conquered several minor species in the past decade and saw humanity as another easy target. They calculated that our peaceful nature made us weak, Reeves finished. But they calculated wrong. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Indeed they did. Reeves nodded. But this attack is likely just the beginning. We need to understand what we're facing. He turned to his second-in-command. Commander Nakamura, take us to the preparation bay. It's time our guests saw exactly what they've awakened. The group moved through the ship's corridors. Sarah noticed how the crew moved with precise efficiency, their bearing distinctly military despite their recent awakening. How many of you are there? She asked. Project Sentinel maintained 50,000 personnel in stasis, Reeves explained. Soldiers, pilots, engineers, support staff, everyone needed to operate a full battle fleet. We've revived 10,000 so far. They entered a massive hangar bay that took Sarah's breath away. Rows of combat mechs stood at attention, each towering 20 meters high. Fighter craft filled launch tubes, their sleek forms designed for both atmospheric and space combat. Automated war drones hummed with barely contained energy. My God, Sarah whispered. I've only seen such things in history archives. This is just one ship's complement, Reeves said. Each vessel in the fleet carries similar armaments. We were humanity's last line of defense, hidden away when the Great Peace was signed. These machines, Martinez examined one of the mechs. They're nothing like our current technology. They look primitive, yet they're far more advanced in combat capability. Armstrong added, modern humanity focused on efficiency and sustainability, we focused on survival and victory. Reeves led them to a secure briefing room. Now, Administrator Chen, I need you to understand something, we are not the humanity you know. We come from an age of constant warfare, where strength determines survival. Our methods may seem brutal by your standards. Sarah looked him firmly in the eye. Those aliens tried to slaughter 20,000 innocent people. Whatever methods you need to employ, you have my full support. Reeves studied her for a moment, then nodded. Very well. Commander Nakamura, begin strategic planning. I want to know everything about the Krell Empire within 48 hours. As the officers dispersed, Reeves called up historical records on the briefing room's displays. Images of ancient battles filled the screens, humans fighting against various alien threats, their war machines crushing opposition. 3 centuries ago, he began, humanity faced extinction, multiple alien species saw us as prey, our home world as a prize. We had 2 choices, submit or fight. We chose to fight. The displays showed the evolution of human military technology, from basic spacecraft to the massive dreadnoughts now protecting Epsilon 9. We became what we needed to become, warriors, survivors. The other species learned to fear us and, eventually, to respect us. The Great Peace was built on that respect, and now that peace is threatened. Sarah, he looked at her. What happens after this is over? What happens to you and your people? The galaxy has moved beyond war. There may not be a place for warriors in the peace that follows. Sarah met his gaze. We knew that when we volunteered for stasis, Colonel. We are anachronisms, relics of a violent past. But we also knew that peace without the ability to defend it is merely surrender delayed. Reeves nodded. On the tactical display, more ships appeared as the hidden fleets awakened. The true scope of Project Sentinel became apparent. Not dozens, but hundreds of warships, each a masterpiece of human military engineering. The Krell want war, Reeves said, his voice hard as steel. We'll give them war, but not the kind they expect. They think they face the soft, peaceful humans of today. Instead, they'll face the humans who conquered 100 worlds, who made the galaxy tremble at our approach. Sarah watched as the ancient fleet assembled. Despite her peaceful upbringing, she felt fierce pride stirring within her. These were her ancestors, she whispered, the ones who had ensured humanity's survival against overwhelming odds. What's our first move? Reeves smiled grimly. We're going to pay the Krell Empire a visit. It's time they learned why the old stories warned against awakening sleeping giants. As the fleet prepared for departure, reports came in from across human space. Other Sentinel facilities were activating their guardians, awakening to answer the call. The war machines of humanity were stirring to life, and the galaxy would soon remember why peace had been preferable to facing human wrath. The Krell commanders received reports of massive energy signatures appearing throughout human territory. Their confidence began to waver as they realized the magnitude of their miscalculation. They had expected to find sheep, instead, they had awakened wolves. The ancient warriors of humanity were marching to war once more, and this time they would ensure that the lesson would never be forgotten. As the Nemesis led the fleet into hyperspace, Colonel Reeves stood at the viewport, watching the stars stretch into lines behind him. Administrator Chen remained at his side. You don't have to come with us, Reeves said. This won't be like the sanitized conflicts you've studied in history classes. My people were attacked, Sarah replied firmly. I need to see this through, besides, someone needs to bear witness to what happens next. Reeves nodded approvingly. Then welcome to the war, Administrator. Let's go remind the Krell why humanity once ruled the stars. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Krell territory like predators materializing from shadow. 300 warships, each a testament to humanity's martial past, formed an arrowhead formation with the dreadnought Nemesis at its tip. On the bridge, Colonel Reeves studied the tactical display. Administrator Chen watched in mixed awe and trepidation. Multiple Krell fleets detected, Commander Nakamura reported. They're scrambling to intercept. Numbers, Reeves asked calmly. Approximately 500 vessels, sir. They outnumber us, but their ships are smaller and less heavily armed. Reeves nodded. They're used to overwhelming their opponents with numbers. They've never faced true warships. He turned to his crew. Battle stations, deploy fighter screens and activate all weapon systems. The bridge hummed with activity as ancient protocols were executed with precision. Sarah watched as the tactical display filled with icons representing thousands of fighters launching from carrier bases. The Krell commander is hailing us, the communications officer announced. On screen. A reptilian face appeared, its scales a deep crimson, 4 eyes blinking independently. Human vessels, you have entered Krell space. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Reeves stepped forward. I am Colonel Marcus Reeves of the Earth Defense Force. Your empire attacked a human station without provocation. You have one opportunity to surrender unconditionally. The Krell commander's scales shifted to a darker shade. Surrender? We are the Krell Empire, we have conquered a dozen species. Your pathetic fleet will be added to our collection of victories. So be it. Reeves replied, cutting the transmission. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega 7. The human fleet moved with choreographed precision, dreadnoughts formed the center, their massive guns charging, cruisers took flanking positions while destroyers darted forward as skirmishers. The Krell fleet, accustomed to facing disorganized resistance, struggled to respond to the coordinated assault. Fire, Reeves ordered. Space erupted in violence. The dreadnought's main batteries unleashed beams of concentrated energy that punched through Krell shields like paper. Secondary batteries filled the void with streams of plasma, while missile pods launched swarms of guided warheads. The Krell returned fire, but their weapons, designed for subjugating primitive species, splashed harmlessly against humanity's layered shields or were intercepted by point defense systems. Their flagship is trying to break through our lines, Nakamura reported. Let them come. Reeves said, show them what happens when you wake the beast. The Krell flagship, twice the size of its escorts, charged toward the Nemesis, its weapons blazing, confident in its superiority. But as it closed range, the dreadnought's true capabilities were revealed, its bow split open, unveiling a weapon that hadn't been fired in 3 centuries, a gravitum lance. The weapon hummed with power, distorting space around it. Gravitum lance charging, the weapons officer reported. Fire. A beam of impossible darkness lanced out, striking the Krell flagship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen, then the alien vessel imploded, crushed by its own mass as localized gravity increased 1,000-fold. The wreckage collapsed into a sphere no larger than a shuttle before exploding outward in a shower of debris. The Krell fleet's coordination shattered. Ships broke formation, some attempting to flee while others pressed desperate attacks. But the human fleet was relentless, fighter squadrons swept through the chaos, targeting engines and weapons, destroyers hunted down fleeing vessels, while cruisers methodically eliminated pockets of resistance. Sarah watched the one-sided battle with a mix of horror and fascination. This isn't a battle, she whispered. It's an execution. No, Reeves corrected. This is a lesson, one the galaxy needs to relearn. Within an hour, the Krell fleet was decimated. Survivors fled in all directions, carrying tales of humanity's resurgence. But Reeves wasn't finished. Set course for the Krell home world, he ordered. Maximum speed. Colonel, surely we've made our point, Sarah interjected. We've defeated their fleet. Reeves turned to her, his expression grave. Administrator, you've lived in peace so long you've forgotten how war works. If we stop now, they'll rebuild and attack again. We must ensure they never threaten humanity again. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, emerging hours later above the Krell home world. The planet was defended by orbital platforms and a reserve fleet, but they might as well have been toys against the human armada. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Reeves announced. Krell Empire, this is Colonel Marcus Reeves. Your unprovoked attack on humanity has awakened forces you cannot comprehend. Surrender now or face the consequences. The response came not from the military but from the Krell civilian government. An elderly Krell with pale scales appeared on screen. Please, the elder begged, we surrender. The military acted without our knowledge, spare our world. Reeves studied the elder carefully. You will dismantle your military. You will pay reparations to humanity. And you will spread word throughout the galaxy that humanity's patience has limits, cross them at your peril. Yes, yes, anything, the elder agreed. Just please, no more death. Reeves nodded and closed the channel. He turned to Sarah. Now you see why we were hidden away. We are not diplomats or peacemakers, we are the sword and shield of humanity, to be used only when all else fails. Sarah looked at the Krell home world on the screen. Will they keep their word? They will, Reeves assured her, because they know we're watching, and they know what happens if they break it. Over the following weeks, news of humanity's military resurgence spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had grown bold during humanity's peaceful era suddenly rediscovered caution. Diplomatic channels that had been cold for decades reopened as various empires sought to reaffirm old treaties. The human fleet returned to Station Epsilon 9, where they were greeted as heroes. But Reeves knew their work wasn't finished. What happens now? Sarah asked as they stood on the observation deck, watching the fleet at anchor. Now we rebuild humanity's defenses, Reeves replied. Not to wage war, but to prevent it. The galaxy has been reminded that humanity can be peaceful by choice, not necessity. And you? Sarah asked quietly. Will you return to stasis? Reeves shook his head. Some of us will remain active, training a new generation of defenders. Others will return to sleep, ready to wake if needed again. Project Sentinel continues, but now the galaxy knows we exist. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. You've changed everything. The peace we knew is over, Reeves corrected gently. No, we're done pretending the illusion was real. True peace comes from strength, from the ability to defend what matters. In the months that followed, humanity entered a new era. The ancient warships became the core of a revitalized defense force, while modern technology was adapted for military applications. Young men and women volunteered to learn from the awakened warriors, bridging the gap between past and present. The Krell kept their word, dismantling their military and paying reparations. Other aggressive species took note, adjusting their expansion plans to avoid human space. The galaxy had been reminded that humanity's peaceful nature was a choice, not a weakness. On the first anniversary of the attack on Epsilon 9, a memorial was unveiled. It bore the images of the ancient warriors who had answered the call, along with a simple inscription. Peace through strength. Freedom through vigilance. Colonel Reeves stood before the memorial, Sarah Chen at his side. Around them gathered citizens, soldiers old and new, and diplomatic representatives from dozens of species. We stand here today not to celebrate war, Reeves addressed the crowd, but to honor those who ensure peace, the warriors of the past. They rose when called, not for glory or conquest, but to protect those who could not protect themselves. As he spoke, he noticed young faces in the crowd wearing the uniforms of the new Human Defense Force. The torch was being passed to a new generation, one that understood peace must be guarded. Let this memorial remind all who see it, Reeves concluded, that humanity chooses peace, but is always ready to defend it. The war machines sleep, but they sleep lightly. As the ceremony ended, Sarah turned to Reeves. Thank you, Colonel, for everything. Reeves smiled, the first genuine smile she had seen from him. Thank you, Administrator, for having the courage to wake us. The galaxy is safer because you did. In the depths of space, the ancient warships maintained their vigil. Some returned to hidden bases, their crews entering stasis once more, others remained active, patrolling the borders of human space. The galaxy had learned its lesson: humanity could be peaceful, benevolent, even gentle, but if you awaken the sleeping giant, you will face the wrath of the war machines. The ancient guardians had fulfilled their purpose, ensuring humanity's future would be one of peace through strength, and that lesson would never be forgotten.